everyone, welcome to the live stream. Jenna Ellis is going to be on OAN in a few minutes. At least that's what she tweeted out. OAN hasn't previewed it at all, so I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. So we're just gonna we'll wait for that. I am your Heavenly Father. This is what we do. We live comment to news events as they happen, and sometimes as they're delayed. Hi, producer Debbie. Hi, Babe. Hi, Stephanie. Hey, Christopher. Who else is in here? Dr. Howard. Good to see everybody. Okay, coming up next is the issue of court packing. So I don't know when Jen is going to be on. So we'll watch a little bit of... They are expecting to speak live to Jenna Ellis.
Around the corner when we come back.
Oh, that interview's right around the corner. So let me make her quiet for a second. There we go, and I'll take her out of my headphones. Marcy, good to see you. Green Room, good to see you. How's everything over there in Ireland? Yeah, I'm trying to find. Rona McDaniel did a little question and answer session with her supporters, Trump supporters, in Georgia apparently this morning, and there were no questions about the upcoming. They were like, hey, let's get everybody to get a rally and vote for the Senate. And all the questions were about the election. So I want to see that one, see if that's available somewhere. If somebody has that link, let me know. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is what we do. We get together, we take a look at what's happening. We talk about it. I talk about it. I try and fact check it as we go. I'm always fair, occasionally funny. And if you'd like to help contribute, be part of it, you can chat, or you don't have to chat. Whatever platform you are on, be it Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, whatever you say on that platform will be sent over to that window over there. That's the chat window. Don't click on that window. You can actually talk by clicking on it, just wherever you are. So that's the way this works. And if you want to contribute to the process, you can always shoot me PayPal, some Venmo, or even better, go to kevinlyfather.com. That's your call to action. Hey, Linda, good to see you. So let me, well, you guys are talking amongst yourselves in the chat room. Let me see if I can find, how the hell do you spell Rona? Rona, R-O-R-H-O-N-N-A. Oh, I was right. Rona, R-O-N-N-A. Rona McDaniel, and I'll filter by today and see if someone covered OAN. I don't know. They're the number 4. They keep bragging about the number 4 cable news network. All right, behind we beat all cable news networks. They tweeted the other day, except for MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, but all of them. Here they are. You guys listen to them for a second. Congratulations, David.
Thanks for staying with us on this hour of One American News. I'm Andrea Boyd. Arguments over the Trump administration's effort to exclude illegal immigrants from the 2020 census are headed to the High Court. Oral arguments are slated to begin via telephone Monday as the Trump administration claims federal law allows the president to exclude illegal aliens from the tally. Federal courts in several states have already rejected the move as unconstitutional, but officials argue the president doesn't have to treat all illegal aliens as inhabitants and allow their defiance of the law to distort representation. The administration is optimistic the court will rule in their favor, which would effectively bring more funding to less populous areas. Former Trump campaign official Carter Page is coming down on the Russia probe.
By the way, the sync is off. The sound sync is off. That's coming right out of OAN. That's not me.
Campaign official Carter Page is suing a number of officials involved in the Russia probe for illegally spying on him. The former campaign official filed the 59-page suit in Washington, D.C. Friday, seeking $75 million from the U.S. government and individuals involved in Operation
I'm trying to find out if this is the Rona McDaniel thing we're looking for. Oh, actually.
And former FBI Assistant Director.
There we go.
You have taken in voter integrity. You guys are election integrity. Thank you for what you're doing. We have our national committee people here, Jason Thompson.
Okay, that feed cuts out, so that's not going to help us.
Intelligence agents. However, the warrant for such spying was based in part on the infamously flawed Steele dossier, which was paid for by prominent Democrats. Last year, the department
The problem with that was not the Steele dossier.
used within the FISA process after looking
There's a lawyer named Kevin Kleinsmith who omitted information that would let the judges know that Carter Page had in fact cooperated and been an operative for the CIA.
And then they were using that in the FISA courts, this revered court. Well, it's not so revered anymore, because when you look at what they did and how they played it, and they hurt a lot of people.
And earlier this month, McCabe confessed he would not have signed off on the warrant to spy on Page if he knew it contained inaccurate information. Since the investigation, Page has been exonerated by special counsel Robert Mueller, and the investigation ultimately found no criminal conspiracy between Moscow and the Trump campaign.
Georgia's Democrat Senate runoff candidates respond differently when it comes to court packing. Raphael Warnock has repeatedly skirted around the question, telling reporters earlier this month it's presumptuous for him to comment on that issue and that voters should focus on his record. Meanwhile, Democrat candidate Jon Ossoff came out against court packing, saying in an interview just because a judge has a different policy doesn't justify the court's expansion. However, Ossoff has not gone as far as to suggest an amendment to fix the number of judges allowed on the Supreme Court. The conservative group Club for Growth is set to launch 2 new ads in Georgia in support of the GOP candidates facing runoff elections in the Peach State. Reports today say the ads will begin airing Monday and run through January 5th on the election date and cost around $500,000. Control of these.
It's going through, right? Okay.
And David Perdue fighting to keep their seats. The ads also come as Republicans say they're concerned issues surrounding the 2020 election will affect turnout in the runoffs.
Whether or not you vote is also public record. So if you don't vote, your family and friends will know you didn't show up when you were needed the most. We can save the Senate, but we all need to vote.
Did it just say your friends and family will know if you didn't show up to vote?
The candidates, including a door-to-door campaign and bus tour. President Trump has also said he's planning a December 5th rally in support of Loeffler and Perdue. GOP chairwoman Ronna McDaniel says, quote, out-of-state liberals and Hollywood elites are pouring money into Georgia. McDaniel's comments come Friday on Twitter. She
Everyone urged
her followers to vote for Republican candidates Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. McDaniel shared an article saying singer John Legend, actor and rapper Common, and other artists plan to put on a concert in December to raise money for Georgia's Democrat candidates. The GOP chairwoman says we can't let them win. The GOP claims another House seat in California as Republican David Valadao.
There's no video of that? They don't have video of her saying that?
More.
That they could play?
California Republican David Valadao is heading back to Congress after reclaiming his seat from the Democrat incumbent. Reports Friday called the race in favor of Valadao to represent California's 21st congressional district. Valadao previously served as the district congressman for 6 years starting in 2013 before being ousted by TJ Cox in 2018. The results of this rematch make Valadao the 3rd Republican to flip a House seat in the state this year. Considered one of the state's most competitive races, Valadao campaigned on the region's agricultural strengths. In a release, he said he is once again overwhelmed by the Central Valley's support and faith in him, going on to pledge to keep fighting for the families in the Central Valley, to bring water to the communities, and to pass a COVID relief package. Valadao is a strong supporter of President Trump's efforts to help the state's farmers, while pointing out his opponent and the Democrat Party have refused that help.
Democratic.
And the president has said Valadao is an incredible guy he wants back in Washington.
In other news, in Pennsylvania, State Senator Doug Mastriano announces plans for a resolution which would change how the state chooses its electors for the Electoral College. One America's Jack Posobiec has the details.
Well, today in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, State Senator Douglas Mastriano, retired Army colonel, made a...
Hey, that guy blocked me on Twitter.
He's doing is he's putting forward a resolution in the state Senate and working with members in the state House to put forward a resolution that will not require a signature by Governor Wolf, a Democrat, regarding the selection of Pennsylvania's electors. Essentially, what he says they're doing is taking back Pennsylvania's constitutional duty that he believes was abrogated in 1938. Essentially, what this states is that the Pennsylvania state legislature will now be able to name the electors to the Electoral College for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's 20 electors here in the year 2020.
If they think they can
However,
do that.
back in 1938, a law was passed that changed that process away from the original constitutional formulation, which then gave it to the Secretary of State. Mastriano stated that he believes there were specific and serious allegations of fraud that he would like investigated here in the 2020 election, specifically with the city of Philadelphia. Those electors remain the bulwark for the state legislature, and as a state senator, he is leading the charge. He led the charge last week at a hearing in Pennsylvania, and he is leading the charge to see this done in Harrisburg. Now, it remains to be seen whether other legislators will go along with him in this. He'll be able to get the resolution pushed forward, and what kind of teeth it will specifically have.
Resolution doesn't change the law.
The Third Circuit has shut the court on the specific legal filing of Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis. That's going to have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court if they're going to have any hope of following this up in Pennsylvania on the legal track. That is why now they are moving towards this political track and having the state legislature come forward and step up in terms of this. Whether it remains to be seen if other states, such as Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, or others, will see similar activity from the state legislature. But for now,
it won't matter.
Here on American News, we are going to be following the story as it develops. For OAN, I'm Jack Posobiec.
All right, let me look into this. You guys
As the mainstream media continues to accept the unofficial results of the election, One American News is one of the only networks following the president's legal team's efforts to ensure a free and fair election. For more, we go live to a key member of the president's legal team, Jenna Ellis. Thank you for joining us. What's the latest with the Trump campaign? And thank you so much. And the Trump campaign, and in particular in Pennsylvania, where more than 20 Pennsylvania state representatives recently backed calls disputing the state's election results. Can you give us the latest here?
Yeah, so we're very excited that the Pennsylvania legislature, led by Doug Mastriano and others, there are almost 30 legislators now that are co-signers of this resolution that will use their Article 2, Section 1.2 authority to make sure that they don't go along with an irredeemably corrupted election. And so this is exactly why our founders put that provision in Article 2. And to follow up on what Jack was just reporting, it's really important to note that there are multiple vehicles to make sure that either the Supreme Court directs the state legislature to fulfill their duty, or the state legislatures can do that themselves. And that's why it's so incredibly important that the Pennsylvania legislature allowed us that hearing last week, and now they are moving forward with this resolution that they are going to not certify those election results, and they are going to make sure to name their delegates according to the constitutional process to make sure that none of their constituents in Pennsylvania are disenfranchised through a corrupt election. We're hopeful that as Pennsylvania leads the way, then other states, including Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, others in Georgia, will also recognize how corrupt this election was, and also take back their delegates to make sure that we, the people, genuinely get to select and prefer our president. And we're confident that when every legal vote is counted, of course, Donald Trump won, and this is the constitutional process to remedy that corrupted election.
It's not.
Right, certainly.
Right, certainly.
You tweeted earlier this week that it's on to the Supreme Court. Would you still say you're working toward a path to victory?
Absolutely. And again, there are multiple vehicles and ways to get to the Supreme Court. That may be through the Third Circuit, that may be through other means. And certainly the emphasis on the state legislatures is incredibly important, because they are the entity that is vested with constitutional authority to make sure that the delegates who actually go to the Electoral College, and that's the method by which we choose our American president, that they do that by a means that is not corrupted, and they make sure as the direct representatives for their state and for their people that they do that in a method that's according to the Constitution and don't just certify a corrupt election result.
Right, and speaking of integrity, switching to Arizona, I understand your team has set up a public hearing on election integrity in Phoenix for Monday. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what you're seeking to accomplish?
I don't want to pause it because I don't use this app very much, so I don't want to miss part of it.
In Pennsylvania last week, by putting forth witnesses and testimony and expert testimony in Arizona about what happened to their election and why this is irredeemably compromised in Arizona as well. And we're hopeful that after that hearing, Arizona will also mirror Pennsylvania by taking back their delegates and making sure that they don't certify a corrupt process. So it's really encouraging, I think, that as President Trump has continued to back the election integrity process to make sure that as the President of the United States, he protects and preserves our constitutional republic, that state legislators are taking notice and they're looking at all of the evidence and the witnesses that we're bringing forth. We've really been denied an evidentiary hearing anywhere in the court process. That's really unfortunate. That should never happen in the judicial branch. And so we're taking this directly to legislators who want to hear this, who want to hear from witnesses, see our evidence. And so we're very excited to put that forward on Monday in Arizona.
And the president has been speaking out about this. He tweeted just this morning thanking, quotes, all the brave men and women in state houses who are defending our great Constitution. Could you tell us how the president is holding up throughout this process?
Yeah, so I speak with him along with the mayor multiple times a day. And, he is really invested in making sure that not just the outcome of this election is safe and secure and is not corrupted, but he understands that this is about the future of America and protecting and preserving our constitutional republic and our process to make sure that we don't have corrupt elections. And so he is committed to doing that on behalf of the American people. He's always been the president of America first to make sure that the Constitution is protected and preserved. And so he is 100% behind this. And I am so proud of this president, that President Trump is completely behind protecting election integrity and making sure that the people and these corrupt election officials, from governors to secretaries of state, all the way down to these local election officials, that they don't get away with this, and that they are put under the spotlight to be on notice that the Republicans and President Trump, led by President Trump, are not going to allow this, because this will impact the future of our country, and we have to preserve and protect free and fair elections.
The president has certainly made it clear he is behind a free and fair election. Now, before I let you go, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, thank you so much for that, question. And
what
I think that there's
like
just so much misinformation between all of the mainstream media outlets. I'm really grateful to OAN for actually giving me the opportunity to come on and explain what's going on, explain the constitutional process, explain why these state legislators are actually fulfilling their constitutional duty. So I would just tell the American people, don't listen to the mainstream media, don't listen to these pundits, don't listen to the Twitterati who are out there trying to just pretend that this is all over, or they're giving misinformation, or they're giving you bad advice on the Constitution. Make sure that you pay attention to what Team Trump is putting out, to what the president is saying, and make sure that you're following up on that, because there is so much misinformation out there. We have a really great opportunity right now to protect and preserve our U.S. Constitution. And again, we're so grateful to these state legislators for stepping up and understanding their constitutional responsibility.
All right, Jenna Ellis, a key member of the president's legal team. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so there's a lot wrong with that. She's just repeating what they've been repeating for a while now. Let's go to this. Here's the best that they can hope for, and I'll explain how. The best that they can hope for is Trump ends up losing 279 to 259. The only thing that they can do is hope to flip Arizona and Georgia in terms of the electoral votes. And here's why. Back in, what was it, 1876? Is that right? Was it 18? Yeah, 1876. So post-Civil War, Everything worked fine in terms of elections. It didn't really, but a few adjustments were made over time. Back in 1876, in the Reconstruction period, after the Civil War was done, and the South, for some reason, was allowed to stay in the Union and had all the rights that they had before. In 1876, 4 states decided that they should send 2 sets of electors to the Electoral College, which is not what's supposed to happen. But when that happened, it really confused everything, and the election of 1876 was a tremendous mess. And so they decided we need to fix this somehow. So in 1887, they passed the Electoral Count Act to figure out, hey, how can we make sure that if there are questions about this, those questions are answered so nobody can do this again. So you've got yourself an Electoral Count Act. What does that say? Well, it says, for example, that the states have to create laws, and those laws, once they're in place, those decide how the electors are picked. The governor then has to certify the elections and also certify the electors. The governor has to be responsible for sending the electors, which is the same as it always was. But it basically laid out those plans. Now, in Section 3 of that of the Electoral Count Act, which is exactly what we're talking about here, as ambiguous as a law is if you're familiar with it, it never comes up. In Section 3, how do we decide which electors? I'll bring it over. How do we decide which electors are chosen? Well, it has to be by the laws of the state. I'll zoom in for you. Here we go. Let me make it smaller so it fits on the screen. Okay. Here's the key part right here. Okay, that should fit right there. So if there's any sort of dispute in terms of which electors are going to go, how the electors are selected, such determination shall be made at least 6 days before the time fixed for the meeting of the electors, which is the this year. Basically, that means the 8th of December is when the electors have to be picked, because that's 6 days before the 14th, and that's when we're having the Electoral College. Such determination made pursuant to such laws so existing on said day. So in other words, how do we pick the electors? Well, we pick them by the laws. Well, what laws? The laws that existed 6 days before the time of the Electoral College. It's cut and dry. So only the laws of the states, not resolutions and joint resolutions and all that sort of stuff, only the laws of the states themselves can pick the electors. So whatever process was already in place on the 8th of December this year, that's the process that can pick the electors. So that gives the Republicans a shot, because theoretically they could change laws in some states and have those laws in effect on the 8th. And then they can pick the electors. If they say the legislature gets to pick the elector and a Secretary of State's just imaginary, they could do that. Here's the thing. That can only happen in 2 states, because all of the other states have some sort of protection. Nevada has a Democratic governor. Pennsylvania has a Democratic governor. Michigan has a Democratic governor. Wisconsin, they're never going to allow the law to be changed. And you can't change a law through resolution. You can only change the law. No, mail-in voting's been a law in Pennsylvania for years. President-elect Kenny, they've been doing it for years. This is the first time that they had mail-in absentee. It's called no excuse absentee ballot. So you don't even have to give a reason. But that's not illegal. That's it. And again, it doesn't matter. Whatever laws were in place for picking the electors, and in Pennsylvania, the law very clearly says popular vote. But even if the legislature in Pennsylvania tries to change a law, they can't, because Governor Wolf is a Democrat, and there's absolutely no way that he allows the law to be changed. So the governor gets to certify which electors are the real electors. That's in the Electoral Count Act. The only 2 states that they can flip are Georgia and Arizona. And if they do that, that still leaves Biden with 279 electoral votes. They can't do it. It cannot be done unless Governor Wolf suddenly becomes a Republican. Not going to happen. Gretchen in Michigan, she's not going to switch parties. It's just not going to happen. So, this has happened before in our history. Nobody remembers it, but it happened before in 1876. Willie Trump's 74 million votes is not a landslide because the other guy got 80 million votes, and that's how math works. So there you have it, kids. I cannot find the Ronna McDaniel thing from this morning. I found like 2 minutes of it, but I really wanted to find it for you guys. I checked Instagram. I checked the RNC website. I checked also Twitter, and I can't come up with it. Joint resolution doesn't change a law, Joe. Anybody else? I mean, that's just the way it is. The only way that you can change a law in Pennsylvania is... okay, I know that's what they're saying, but Joe, here's the thing. You're being lied to. Okay? Remember all of the, we've got all this mountain of evidence, and we've got these allegations and all this evidence, and we're going to present the evidence in court. Let me go back. I'm going to read to you what the judge said in the case from yesterday. I had it here earlier. Give me just a second, folks, and I apologize for not having this ready to go. I should have it probably filed under Rudy somewhere. Where's my file? I'm working with 3 monitors here, guys. So, and for whatever reason, my computer isn't cooperating. It's not showing me my file folder. Okay, now it's frozen over there. So this is a Trump-appointed judge. I'm just going to pull it up on Twitter because I know I have it on Twitter. Let me find it here. And specific. Give me just a minute. I have to find my tweet to Trump here. And here it is right here. I'm going to bring it over to the screen so you can see it. Right here. This is a quote from Trump-appointed judge Stefanos Bibas in Pennsylvania on the case that was just dismissed a couple of days ago. Free, fair elections are the lifeblood of democracy. Charges of unfairness are serious, but calling an election unfair does not make it so. Charges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither here. Neither. There are no specific allegations that Rudy Giuliani brought forth in the case, and no proof for those specific allegations. And that's why the judges threw it out. There's nothing there. Yes, of course Biden got 11 million more votes than Obama. Absolutely. That was across the board, even in states that the Democrats already had locked up. Do you know how awesome of an operation you would have to get 11 million fake votes? I'm sorry, but have you ever worked in government at all? Nobody is that competent. It cannot be done. Plus, all the governors, Republican and otherwise, they're certifying the results of the elections. The election was the most secure election in history. January 21st, Trump will be your president. No, he will not. It's literally impossible at this point. I've looked at all the possibilities. I looked at what they say. But again, you're being lied to. Stop being a sucker, and in this case, a loser. You're welcome to have your political beliefs. I get that. I have different beliefs. I've voted Republican before. Many times. Many times. But I cannot support Trump because I won't be lied to. If Joe Biden lies to me, I'll be like, hey, Joe, that's a lie. I call it both ways. I'm an independent. I don't care. I'm not Democrat. I didn't vote for Hillary. Brian Kemp certified Georgia. Yeah. He's a Republican. He's one of the worst Republicans, and he certified Georgia. Will you be mad if Trump wins? No, I thought Trump would win last time. I predicted Trump winning last time. I predicted Biden winning this time. I predicted him winning by about 310 votes. Or getting 310, almost 310 votes, and I said he would get 4%. And yesterday he just passed 4%. I was dead on accurate with this election. I was dead on accurate last time too. I even predicted the states that Trump would win in a surprise. I just call him like I see. I just watch and I make the call. Will I be angry if Trump wins? I will be upset that our democracy's been destroyed. Yeah. Trump is not the greatest president of my lifetime, will he? love you, though. I mean, you're just adorable. The greatest president. Here's the thing, Willie. One thing, and that'll put an end to that. If Trump is the greatest president of our lifetimes, if he is, let's just say he is, wouldn't the greatest president of our lifetime be able to win a second term? Don't you think? Isn't that something? I am the mastermind behind this whole thing. Oh, there's so many great Biden policies. Number one is bringing in socialism, putting an end to this whole capitalism thing. I think that's, everybody gets free soup cans to throw. We're going to burn down the suburbs. I'm really looking forward to that. White people are going to be banned from the country. Cannot wait. So many, many good things. Oh yeah, no cows. We're going to get rid of double cars. I fucking hate double cars. Airplanes, we're going to shoot those out of the sky. So yeah, I am really looking forward to this. Things are finally going to go my way. Oh yeah, no borders. Just come on in. We're going to let everybody come in over the borders, and we're going to flood this country with COVID. Oh, I can't. The windows? Come on. Look at what happens if I turn off. That's the light from the window. See how grainy that? It's useless. It's useless. I have to use my solar-powered LED lights. Yes, I could use the sun technically, but that really skips a step. All of the actors, all the actors who are pretending to have COVID now, they'll stop and we'll get genuine COVID. I'm sick of fake COVID. This is going to be real COVID Donald Trump. Trump is the greatest con artist ever in the White House. I would tend to agree with you, Benny, except here's the thing. He may not be, because the greatest con artist wouldn't be caught. We wouldn't know it. Could be Thomas Jefferson, and we wouldn't know it. And that would make him the greatest con artist. That's the thing about con artists. Oh, yeah, we're going to get rid of God, too. That's a big policy I forgot. Thanks for reminding me, Green Room. Biden's going to finally get rid of this God. This God character who's always smiting people. Yeah, Biden's plan is to tear down all the buildings and then replace them with buildings that have either no windows or very small windows. Very small windows. God is Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, so that was quick, guys. That was fun. That was Jenna Ellis. Are there any questions on the electoral process? Is there any questions on the Supreme Court? I can explain why none of this is going to make a difference in the Supreme Court. If anyone's interested. I'm sure there's a lot of information out there already, and I don't know if anyone has any questions. And I'm not a lawyer, but I have played one in a corporate video. How do I explain Article 2? Oh, wow, sorry. You guys are chatting so much, it went away. I got to find the chat room because I read like half the question, and I'm sorry. I think you were asking about the power of the legislatures of the states to select the electoral college. Yes, they do, but they also make laws. So they have that power, and they delegate that power. And what I was just talking about a second ago, the electoral count law, specifically codifies that those laws are what the laws on the 6th day before the gathering of the electoral college. Whatever law is in effect, that's how you select the electors. You can't just bounce it around, because they actually saw this happening. It happened in 1876 when four southern states, decided to send two sets of electors. And part of them was like, because some of those states had laws on we're going to let the popular vote do it. And then there were also legislatures, because the legislatures in those areas, of course, were at the time Democratic. Could have been Whig too. It was flip-flop, Republicans and Democrats. Anyway, so we have a system for this. There are laws involved for this. I don't believe that Jenna Ellis has any idea what the Electoral Count Act is because they never mention it. I think they're, but even if she does, it doesn't matter because she's completely disingenuous. Everything she's telling us, again, we know this because every time they go before a judge with all of this evidence and all these allegations, for example, I'm sorry, I'm not finishing. Trump has the DIA investigating. Oh, the DIA, the DIA, the Department of Interior Agency. Anyway, yeah, so the Constitution does give the legislatures the power to select the electors. They delegate that power. They can't just take that power back willy-nilly. There's provisions in state constitutions to protect that from happening. Even if there aren't, that enters into a larger constitutional question. And I don't think the Supreme Court has ever heard an argument on that, nor if they'd have jurisdiction over that, but the state Supreme Courts certainly would. Jenna may be an angel, but she's not a very bright one. There are satanic angels as well, remember, Willie. One of whom is Beelzebub, the other Lucifer. They go by a number of different names. Can I explain the New York case against Trump, the financial one? There are several different cases against Trump in New York State. Not SDNY because they're not federal cases. Well, there is one. There's like so much. But SDNY isn't touching it for now. And who knows who's going to be in charge. I mean, Preet Bharara might be put back in charge at SDNY after Biden comes in. Basically, we don't know all of what's in the Trump financial cases. There's a couple of things. He's already an unindicted co-conspirator. I'm not angry at all. Do I look angry, Alejandro? No, I'm good. I'm having a great time with this. When I laugh, it's not anger. I'm really enjoying this. Where was I? Sorry, I looked over. I was distracted. Green room. So in the Michael Cohen case, we already know that Trump is a co-conspirator because in the testimony, he is named as individual number one, and individual number one was the candidate who went on to win the presidency. That's only one person. Even though he's not named in it, we know that it's definitely him. And you can't create a shell corporation and direct Michael Cohen to create this shell corporation, have him commit bank fraud at your direction, etc. So he's waiting. That's waiting for him. So that's one charge against. Actually, I think it's 3 charges against Trump, but don't quote me on that. And then we have the financial. You've got tax fraud. You've got bank fraud. A number of things. What he liked to do was he would put value on things to get loans and then tell the IRS a completely different value. And you can do that to a certain extent because you could argue that the value fluctuates, but there are extremes. And then he would leverage things that he didn't own off of other things. There's all kinds of allegations. There's money laundering possibly involved. There's so much going on. We don't know all of the details, so I can't really explain that much about it. Anybody else? Okay. TBL is you, right? The only good thing Trump will have done in the White House is leaving it. That is correct. I'm trying to think if he did any. Well, he pardoned turkeys. That was okay. I miss what Alejandro said. Do I wash my hair? Yes, I do wash my hair. It is greasy right now. I just got back from tennis, and Jenna Ellis was going to be on live, so I didn't want to miss that. So in order to bring this to you live, I have not washed my hair yet. So yes, it's not so much greasy as it is probably a little sweaty. Plus, I haven't had a haircut since COVID began. And I think my hairline is receding quite a bit since this all began. Okay. Well, I think that's about it, unless there's any more questions. Free drugs? Oh, is that what Biden's going to do? Free drugs? Well, that's all part of healthcare, right? Allison, don't exit and come back in because Trump's Supreme Court is lit. Trump doesn't have a Supreme Court, and it's not lit. So, yeah, but have you washed your hair today, Linda? Did you wash your hair and get right back in your PJs? Because I've done that. Ask any concern about Hunter's laptop investigation? I have zero concerns. I don't give a fuck about Hunter. Like, all right. Like, any concerns about Marianne Trump's disbarment from the court? No, it doesn't affect Trump. Unless Trump is somehow involved. I mean, if it implicates Joe Biden in some way, then okay. But here's the thing. This is what we know about Rudy Giuliani. By the way, Hunter's laptop was something that 3 years ago they were saying that they had evidence on this. And that's why nobody really serious believes it, because it sure seems like nonsense. The Texas hospitals, especially down in El Paso, yeah, they're just jam-packed. There's nowhere to send anybody. North Dakota, the COVID crisis is just, I don't know what else to say about it. So here in Los Angeles, they are going to what they're calling safer at home on Monday. And that means no gathering of any kind, except churches, of course, thank you, Supreme Court, and protests. So the First Amendment takes precedence over public safety, is what the Supreme Court decided the other day. Even though that ruling was moot, for some reason the Supreme Court decided to rule on it because the laws it was looking at in New York were no longer in effect, which is very strange that the Supreme Court would do that, which is pretty much the Supreme Court saying, okay, well, guess what? We're conservative now, and this is how it's going to be. Get ready, bitches. Which is a little bit concerning. But in terms of the election, there's nothing really they can even rule on because no evidence has been presented to lower courts. And you can't just introduce evidence before the Supreme Court. That's not the way it works at all. At least in my world. At least in a world that makes any sense whatsoever. Cable news showed you a little bit of those events, Bud. But yeah, those events tend to be very, very long, and you can't stick commercials into them. Right Side Broadcasting does a good job of showing all the Trump stuff. I don't think, let's just check them out and see if they showed us anything about the Ronna McDaniel thing this morning. They should be down in Georgia right now because that matters for so many reasons, including if it gets to the point where somehow the electors get through and Congress has to decide the election in January. There are specifications for that as well. We may end up without a president. There's a possibility, a very remote outside possibility, in case the 20th Amendment fails and the 12th Amendment kicks in. There's an outside possibility that if nobody can choose a president, Mike Pence becomes president as if the president was dead on March 4th. It's a 1 in a million chance of happening, but there is a chance of that happening. And then if that happens, we have no vice president for the next 4 years until the next election, unless somebody can figure out a way that we can call an election. Now, what happens then if so that can happen. Here's the thing, though. Do I even dare hope Georgia will go to the Democrat? I think it's going to go 1-1, but I've been wrong before, and things are changing very, very rapidly. So the Senate race could go both Democrat. Now, here's where that could come in. Believe it or not, the election on the 5th of January in Georgia could end up determining who the president is. Because if it goes to the Electoral College in front of the House, you could end up, because of the Electoral Count Act, you could end up with states' electors presenting before the House and the Senate in a joint session. And then the question is asked, does anybody object to these votes? Okay? This is seriously codified. And then, as long as a senator and a congressperson from a state objects to that, then they say, okay, we're going to take a look at this. And they have to go back they have to separate the joint sessions, and then they both have to vote on whether or not to accept those the objection to those particular electors, and then they come back together, and then the process continues until the next objection, and it can go on forever. And if it goes on until March 4th, then maybe Vice President Pence is in. However, if Mike Pence is president on March 4th, the Democrats, since they will control the House, they could impeach him. Then it goes to the Senate for trial. And if the Democrats have the majority in the Senate, it doesn't matter because you have to get 2/3. So that just ended in a dead end in my head. So yeah, we could end up with Mike Pence, but again, it's a 1 in a million. All of this should be settled very, very, very quickly. First off, they'd have to change the law. The Republicans would have to change the law in Georgia and Arizona, 2 states that have gone blue now. And for the legislators to do that, not necessarily political suicide. For the senators, probably political suicide, depending on the jurisdictions and the boundaries. But yeah, you would have to be a resolution. There will be a resolution in Pennsylvania because it doesn't do anything. And they might even choose their own electors. But the Electoral Count Act says no, it's the governor who certifies the electors. The governor certifies the electors. It's already happened in Pennsylvania. They would have to do a resolution and then change their own electors. And then the Electoral Count Act would kick in and say, well, what was the law on this day? Which electors are the valid electors? I'm not even sure why we're discussing this. Because we've taken care of this already as a country. Not that that means anything anymore. It's 2020, kids. Okay, I think that's about it. That's about 47 minutes of broadcast there. I think we're good for a Saturday, and I should probably do some other stuff. Plus, according to Willie, I have to shower. I get that. I do. I totally do. All right, kids. You guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. If anything happens, I'll jump in tomorrow. Trump is going to be on Maria Bartiromo at... What time is that? I think that's 6 in the morning my time, maybe 7 in the morning my time. Oh, no, we'll look it up. So we'll set up a broadcast for that. So join me tomorrow morning Pacific time. What's it called? Weekends or something? Good Morning with Maria Bartiromo. I'll look it up. Hold on. I'll tell you exactly when it was on last week. And that way we can watch the interview. And I think Jenna Ellis is going to be on as well, maybe. Hold on. Let me make this work. Come on. No, just leave me alone. Okay. Come on. Search. All right, I got to reload this page, I think. It's not cooperating with me. Does everybody know what time she's on? She's on early, like 7 a.m. Okay, well, everything's taking an hour here. So bear with me, folks. 60 Minutes tomorrow is worth watching. We won't do that live. Because we will get copyright strike for that. Okay, come on. Show me the freaking hourglass. There we go. I think it's Sunday Morning Features is what's it called. Sunday Morning. Rain is falling. There it is. Sunday Morning Futures. And it is on at... Really? Fox doesn't give me the time. Here it is. 7 a.m. over here. Yeah. So 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. They have another guest as well. Doesn't say on here who it is. That first guest probably goes first. That's the way it works. Typically, Trump will join halfway through. They want to obviously have the main event second. You put the big card at the end of the fight. So it'll probably start we'll probably start from the beginning. Thank you, Willie. Rich Mac says the fact that Willie doesn't answer our questions shows his intelligence level. All right, well, Willie's trying. I mean, he's keeping you engaged, so that's nice. Willie, you're welcome back anytime. Come back with evidence and links and stuff, because I love to see that. I love to see what's going on in the other side of the bubble. I try and keep abreast of everything. Okay, you guys are like way behind it. Marcy, 10 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, thanks for the info. Okay, you guys are just having a little battle there. You're welcome, Victoria. Thanks for coming. I appreciate your time here. Everybody else, you all suck. Victoria's the only decent one amongst you, and I'm sadly disappointed by that. I think I'm going to have some leftover food. I made enough food. Yeah, it's not even worth talking about. Everybody go get some leftovers. Does anybody have turkey left? I didn't have any begin with, but I'm jealous. But I do want some turkey and cranberry, so I'm going to go make that happen. You guys be good to each other. And, don't like Google. If you chance the law without the legislator, it becomes illegal. You can't change a law. You cannot change a law without the legislature. And you can't change it without the governor too. You're talking about changing the law, changing see, there's rules and there's laws. They're two different things. A law is something that says this shall happen. And this department is going to make rules in terms of the procedure of how it happens. You can change procedures. That's bureaucratic nonsense. That happens all the time. That's fine. As long as you don't contradict the intent of the law. So, for example, I'll tell you about this one. This is remember Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis talking about Wisconsin. They were going to overturn the whole thing because Wisconsin doesn't have, there are hundreds of thousands of missing absentee ballot applications, fewer than there are of absentee ballots that came in. And every absentee ballot has to have an absentee ballot request. And they don't match up, and we're going to have a huge lawsuit, and the whole thing's going to be overturned. So this is what they filed yesterday. They filed a petition in Wisconsin. Had nothing to do with absentee ballots. Basically, there are 200 drop boxes that the Secretary of State, the Elections Commission, created. 200 ballot drop boxes. They're claiming that those are illegal. Therefore, every vote that went into those drop boxes, even if it's a legal vote, even if the citizens did their duty in good faith, voted, if they put it into a drop box, one of these illegal drop boxes, it now becomes a legal vote once it goes down that chute. This is what they're saying, which is not based in any factual law whatsoever. So how do we remedy this? This is the remedy they're asking for. They're asking, find every one of those votes and disqualify it. And if you can't, then we have to throw out all mail-in ballots. And if we can't, then we have to throw out every vote. You have to discard the entire election. That is what the Rudy Giuliani camp is claiming. Even though he's been saying for a couple of weeks now, it was going to be about the hundreds of thousands of missing absentee ballot requests. It's all nonsense. That's the best that they can do, that there were drop boxes, illegal drop boxes. So fuck the will of the people. You guys put your vote into a box that you thought was official, and it wasn't. It's a ridiculous system. Most democracies do like people to vote. Some democracies make it mandatory, which I don't agree with, but you got the freedom to do it. You're allowed to do with it what you will. Just because a drop box may not have been approved by the legislature, which again, that's a procedure. It doesn't the law says the Secretary of State's office will collect ballots. A procedure or a rule defines how that will be collected. They're not the same. Putting out additional ballot boxes doesn't nullify the ballots that are within those boxes. At least not according to anything that's ever happened any time. But are you going to overturn an election because of 200 ballot boxes? That's what Rudy Giuliani is attempting to do. And it's, quite frankly, as an American, I'm disgusted. He paid $3 million for the recount, and he lost 132 votes. First off, Willie, Biden got more people than that at his rallies. Number two, he didn't even have that many rallies, and he didn't need to. And the 1,000 online views is a complete lie. Go look. Here, I'll prove it. This is Thanksgiving. Let's see. Let's just go to. You know what it is? I think George did that yesterday on Twitter. Hold on. I'll show you. We'll do it. You know, we won't even rely on somebody on Twitter. We'll go look it up ourselves. Okay. So you're saying he got 1,000 people watching. That's the Republican side right now, is that Joe Biden only got 1,000 people watching his Thanksgiving address. So let's just look it up for ourselves. This is YouTube. You can do this at yourself. Follow along at home. Biden Thanksgiving address. Let's see if it comes up with that. Here we go. This is ABC News alone by itself. 113,000. I don't know if you can see that. I'll make it bigger. Right? 1,000 versus, here's 113,000. I want to move it. There we go. 113,000 on ABC alone. Sorry. I didn't mean to click that. Almost 500,000 on ABC News. What's this from? CBS News, another 93,000. Who's this? That's CBS. We saw that. 24,000 from PBS. Nobody watches PBS. 24,000 from PBS. That's 24 times more than what you just said. Trump gets 83 million views. I will show you this then, because we know that those are valid. Let's hold on. I'm gonna find this from George. The trouble with George is he tweets so much that it's hard to dig up everything by him. But we will go through. Oh, you know what? I think I can search by media. Yeah, I can. Good. This will speed things up a little bit here. And okay, here we go. So this is 1 million views. That looks like Instagram for Biden. This is 5.3 million views. Not sure what format that is. Could be Instagram. Yeah, this is Trump. His address on Thanksgiving. 527,000 views. Fewer than both of the Biden feeds that we saw. I don't know where it's from. He didn't say that. But that was Donald Trump who tweeted that. So here's the thing, Willie. You're being lied to by Donald Trump. This is Trump tweeting only 1,000 views online, and here's 6 million, 6.3 million views just between those two. How many views? In this case, it was 527,000 views, and the feed was bad. Let's look. Hold on. Trump addresses troops. Let's see if I can. Here we go. Here's one right here. 14,000 views. That's one. 4.1 thousand views. Okay. Let's see if we can find them at the small table again. 640,000 views. That's okay. Okay, I mean, so people watch both. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the results of the election at all. You don't vote with rallies. You don't vote with boat parades. You don't vote with how many views you get online. That's not the way this works. Your vote doesn't choose the president. It's a whole other bottle of wax. Why are you covering OAN? I think you would do better covering CNN. Oh, because OAN just had Jenna Ellis on. Jenna Ellis won't go on CNN very often. Can't remember the last time I saw. I think she went on with Chris Cuomo a little while ago. She's on in the morning every once in a while too. Good job being first, Joanna. Congratulations. And with that, we're wrapping things up. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Leslie.
Kevin, thanks for that.